Lot of light up here. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Monalisa Monroe Morning Show. Grab your coffee or your tea, hunty, because we have a lot to talk about. But before we get started on those red hot topics, please go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com. We've got t-shirts, we've got mugs, we've got toast. Believe me, we've got you covered. And also, you could purchase my book, Life After the Diagnosis. If you know a survivor or you are a survivor, this is the book that you need. Well, let's go ahead and get this party started right, shall we? Good afternoon. So I know you guys are wondering what in the world is going on because the Monalisa Monroe Morning Show comes on Thursdays. Well, tonight we have a special report. We have Senator Lester Johnson that we're getting ready to get set up. So I need to get him a platform and all that good stuff. So I want you guys to hang tight, hold tight for me while I do a little bit of technical stuff behind the scenes, okay? Hold one momento for me, hunties. We're going to get this going. Hold tight for me. Let's see what we got to do here. All right, we're going to put you on a brief pause and then we'll get you going. Hold on. Hello, sir. Let me cut my jam off. How are you?
I'm fine, Miss Moore. Good evening. How you doing this wonderful Sunday afternoon?
I'm doing fabulously amazing great. How about that?
Well, that's great. That is great.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, I want to first of all thank you so much for coming on the show. Usually, we have the podcast, we have the show on Thursday mornings,
Hmm.
but this is our special report because we have the Mr. Dr. Lester George Jackson III on air with us today, and we also have Dr. Gary Monroe that's going to be facilitating this awesome call. And I just again want to just welcome you and thank you to the Monalisa Monroe Morning Show.
Well, I'm honored for one to be a part of your show. It is a wonderful opportunity for me to listen to you once again, and I'm just excited to be a part and also be along with my good friend Dr. Moore.
All right.
Let's it's Monroe, not Moore.
For
But I
sure.
get that all
Did
the
I say?
time.
Did I say more? Did I say more? I'm sorry,
You say
Dr.
more,
Monroe.
yeah. Well, I understand because what it is, we need more of Monroe.
That's right. That's right. I was thinking about more of Monroe.
Good comeback. Good comeback. Hey, I might have to use that in my next campaign. More of Monroe.
That's right. Yeah.
So hey, like my wife said, Mona, man, we are grateful and thankful to have you here with us. We know that you're senator serving now, but you decided to throw in your hat to run for the labor commissioner of the state of Georgia.
Mhm.
And being that this is, yes, we have a huge, Mona Lisa has a huge following, but from a grassroots perspective, let's talk about one, first of all, not only your platform, but what is exactly the role, responsibility, and the duties of a labor commissioner, as well as how does that benefit and help the people at a local level and a state level?
Well, excellent question, Dr. Monroe. The Georgia Commission on Labor is a state executive position. It's a constitutional officer and it's a statewide position. The commissioner is responsible for implementing the state labor regulations. It's responsible for operating its unemployment insurance, and it's also responsible for rehab programs throughout the state. And another job of the state labor uh, commissioner is to produce such statistics and research covering the Georgia labor market. But he's also an ambassador for the state when it comes to corporations coming in. When it comes through with big companies coming in to do business with Georgia, he's an ambassador for the state to make sure that that we're going to train people for those jobs. We're going to prepare the citizens of this great state for these opportunities when we bring in these big uh, businesses. But also, he's going to make sure that the employees are treated fairly when these big businesses come in and start talking about regulations and what they want. And the labor commission is going to be the one that's going to be fighting for livable wages, going to be fighting for making sure there's strong union representation, and making sure that the citizens are represented at the table when it comes to big business coming into Georgia.
Yeah, and we talk about big businesses, and I stand to be corrected, but isn't Georgia the number one state in the which to do business?
Well,
And
go ahead. I'm
uh,
sorry, Dr. Monroe. Finish.
and me being right here in Garden City, serving on the zoning and planning commissioner, as well as working for ILA at Georgia ports, that's a big economic engine, not just here in the coastal empire, but statewide and actually the whole southeast of the country. So certainly, when you talk about labor, that will be certainly advantageous for this local community and region.
Well, Georgia is on record with several magazines as being the number one state to do business in. Um, or it's always in the top five with many magazines with the number one state to do business in. But a lot of that impacts the number one state to do business if you're a big corporation, if you're Walmart, if you're a Delta, if you're a Home Depot, because Georgia is still a right to work state, meaning
Mhm.
that big business or the employer has the right to fire your employees without any consequence or without having to state a reason. So, and also Georgia has one of the lowest minimum wage requirements in the country. So true. It's on record as being the number one state to do business in. But we want Georgia to be the number one state for a citizen to have to get a job that pays livable wages, to get health care insurance, to have a uh, uh, a state with strong union representation. So Georgia is the number one state to do business in for a lot of reasons, but we still have
Mhm.
a lot of work to do for its people.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned about union. I am a union worker, as I alluded to at the ports. Conversation with another with the was, I believe, in 2017, that essentially done away with being able to claim um, labor dues and other type of PE purchase throughout the years. That's a big issue here at the Georgia Ports Authority, as far as we as labor members being able to claim that. Now, there's supposed to be a bill being introduced to try to reverse that. Is it? You know,
Absolutely,
uh,
absolutely. We call it the Union Buster Bill. Um,
okay,
um, we talk about Georgia being the number one state to do business, but as I said earlier, Georgia is a right to work state, meaning that it tries to discourage uh, union membership. It tries to discourage unions from being a participator in companies. Um, so Georgia has a lot of obstacles in its way for unions to be fully organized, and we're trying to prevent that. We're trying to work toward making Georgia a union friendly state. We're trying to make Georgia a state where we offer livable wages. Uh, uh, and we try to offer have Georgia a place where people can not only and live above the uh, a low income standard.
yeah, yeah. And what's the poverty rate here in the state of Georgia compared
Well,
to other
the
states?
poverty rate in Chatham County, I mean, the poverty rate in Savannah, Georgia, 27% of the people in Savannah live below the poverty rate, which is hurtful. 17% of African American males are either unemployed or underemployed, which is horrendous. So so Savannah is not like many other cities like Augusta, Macon, Columbus, and parts of Atlanta, where the um, where the um, where the people that's living above, I mean, people that's living below the the minimum required stuff that we say is a livable wage or a is about 25% across this state in urban Americans, 25% of people living below the poverty level, which is something that we're going to change when I become labor commissioner with your help,
Right.
Doctor.
Yeah. We were in Dallas a few weeks ago. My wife is from Dallas, and we were just blown away of the growth of residential development and the quality of life out in Dallas. And it was all consequent of the major corporations leaving California, moving into Dallas, and creating those job opportunities, as well as providing, as you mentioned, you said rehabilitation programs, What about job training type programs? Is this something that the labor commissioner um, involves itself in?
Well, yes, and I will tell you this: Texas is doing a wonderful job by operating a series of grants and opportunities for business to come and move their headquarters to Texas. Dallas is growing. Houston is growing, and many other parts of Texas. And we want to do something very similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of parts of Texas are doing is having technical and vocational classes inside high schools right away,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we need to do. I don't know if y'all remember back in the 80s, up until the 80s, we had a school called Richard Arnold, where
Right.
they taught vocational and technical skills inside the classroom. So when young people graduated, they had a high school diploma in their right hand, but also they had a certificate with a skill in their left hand. So they was job ready once they graduated, and that's what they're doing in Texas, and that's what we want to bring back to Georgia. In every school system in our 159 counties, have some sort of vocational, uh, technical program or career academy where people can be job ready once they graduate. And we found out in Texas, companies are coming in because they got young people with all these high tech job opportunities already, and they're teaching things in school like coding and computer programming. So when these young people graduate from even from high school, they're ready. When they go on to a vocational school, whether a 2 year uh, 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 community college or vocational school, they are ready to achieve jobs making $70,000 or more just because they learn these technical schools while they're in high school. And we need to do more of that in Georgia, and that's one reason I'm running to provide more opportunities to more young people. We find out even here in Chatham County, when young people graduate, they're forced to move or join the army to find a job that pays livable wages. It is extremely difficult, not only in Chatham County but all throughout Georgia. So when we attract businesses in, we have to make sure that we have a workforce that technologically advanced, that has skills available, so they understand these jobs, these new careers that are being created. And I know I don't want to take all your time, but I want to go one step further. We also must take these vocational skills into our prisons, into our prison system, because we know that we have a lot of young men and young women getting out of prison, and we don't want them to go back on, go back in. And this recidivism rate uh, will be greatly reduced if we teach young people job skills while in the correctional institution. So when they get out, they're able to have a job so they can make a decent living, so they don't have to go back to those trials and tribulations, uh, uh, aspects of their lives that cause them to get in prison the first place. So there's a lot of opportunities for us. There's a lot of work for us to do. But the first thing for us to do is to go to the polls and vote, because we really have to vote this year, because not only our lives depend on it, but our children's lives and our children's opportunities to depend on this election coming up in May and eventually in November. Hey,
Right,
man,
right.
that's a mouthful. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do a short answer to the
I was
people.
about to say, I was about to say, you gave us a number of important things to consider and look at, but that's great because, hey, man, information is power. And I think certainly down here in Savannah, for that population that you want to get out and vote, the more information that we can give to the people, that inspires and encourages people to go out more so and vote. One of the things you talk about is our rehabilitation program. A good friend of mine, Julius Hall, he has a number of podcasts and social media shows, and one of them is Incarceration to Incorporation. So I think this somewhat fits into the mold and category of what you were talking about to help abate that recidivist rate here in Chatham County and in, well, not only just Chatham County, but in the state of Georgia. We definitely need some programs of sort. The greater part of my ministry and service has been to and with young men. Okay, that's where I began with young men. It led me to a point where I actually have a school for boys in Bermuda. And when we invest we invest in men and young men, and certainly the earlier that we can get our hands onto them, the better it is, not only for our community or for them, but for our community. So I'm glad that is a high concern for you as going in as labor commissioner. We're gonna speak that going in as labor commissioner. And
who are you going against?
Well, I tell everyone this labor race. There are three people. There are four other candidates running, but there's three people in this race that I would consider voting for. That's me, that's my wife's husband, and my children's father. All three of those candidates are great people, and I would consider voting.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, I think all three of those guys are some good candidates, man.
I like all three of those guys. I like all three of those guys that's running.